here. Krishna is in a very tough spot.
Knight b5 was played.
Magnus played knight b5, and this is
interesting.
This is very curious because you can now play rook a8,
and I can also
forcing this exchange.
But can I also play rook
e8? Yeah, rook e8.
I mean, just activating my own
bishop
pieces.
b4 maybe is the plan.
Okay, and against
but rook e2, yeah, it feels like suddenly black has some breathing space here.
I'm kind of wondering what the plan is. Specifically after rook e8. Okay, obviously I have this issue.
She looks interested because suddenly there are active moves she can make, and I think she will play rook e8.
Yeah, she did play rook e8 pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Well, it looks pretty natural given the open file. We were talking about how this rook was dominated. Suddenly the knight disappears.
It no longer is, and this is
curious.
Yeah, and Magnus doesn't look particularly happy with this turn of events. I think he may have. He does play bishop b4 as expected, but what do you do after rook e2?
Yeah, rook e2 is what I was wondering.
Suddenly black has a very natural plan of knight f6, knight g4, and mate.
Mate's good.
And mate, yeah.
It doesn't matter how many pawns you have.
Yeah,
but it's not the only idea. I mean, you also have simpler threats, rook b2. I mean,
currently rook b2 is a huge threat, but I thought about knight c7, but bishop f3 is just such a natural response. I mean, I'm suddenly very confused.
It makes me wonder why the knight is there at all.
Yeah.
Rook e2 was played by Nino actually pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Magnus,
but it is by far the most natural move in the position, and knight c7 was a huge threat. So
Magnus does seem to be down to 1 minute and 30 seconds.
If he feels, it feels like something has gone somewhat wrong for Magnus.
Yeah, I didn't particularly like this approach.
Yeah, I think it was important to keep this rook as pinned down as possible. Yes, there were issues with playing rook a7 or playing a waiting move, and understandably he wanted to prepare himself for the potential trade on a8, because I guess after rook 8 he was wanted to take, play knight c3, which is a very good square for this knight, protecting a4, creating potential ideas of d4, d5. But all of this is now completely immaterial because his rook on a6 has very little to do right now. He can play rook a7.
And he did actually play rook a7.
But he's actually driving all of black's pieces towards, better squares. Knight f6 here.
Well, very good. And she's going to play that pretty quickly. I'm not so sure what he's planning on doing.
I'm close to a point where I want to ask who is better here, honestly. I'm not, I think it's possible for black to be better here.
Well, you're threatening knight g4, right?
Probably rook e7 still works out fine for white, but it shouldn't be a problem to hold this for black now, I think, considering how active her pieces are.
So after rook e7, of course,
rook b2, for instance,
rook b2 sounds
or rook a2
logical.
even. But rook b2
it's
is
funny. It's funny because let's look at just the simple perspective that earlier we were trying so desperately to trade the rooks, and somehow hold the endgame. And we get to the position where black is so active that you don't want to trade the rooks.
Actually, rook takes e7 is probably an immediate draw, objectively, and followed by knight e4 and rook b3. This probably holds quite comfortably. But you no longer want to do this. And he went king f1.
King f1 was played, so let's go back to this position instead of this king f1.
Hang on a second. Bishop c4.
Maybe.
He wants to go knight d6 or what? Hang on. Knight 6, rook e7, check.
Maybe he wants to just go
take
back.
on c4 and take on b6. No, I mean, if you go back after knight g4, you will get mated, I think. Maybe king g1 or something. Yeah? King g1 and sort of offer a draw.
That's what I was saying, but I mean bishop c4.
Hang on, bishop c4? No, maybe he wants to go knight, I don't know, knight d6?
Knight d6?
Yeah, knight d6, rook e7, check. I take on c4 and I take on b6.
Like this.
And I go a5.
Right.
And this is actually quite decent for white.
Right, you have the a5 coming, and
a5,
there's
d5,
some problems,
and the king runs very fast towards the b5 square. But we can actually start with bishop d3.
Bishop d3, of course. Yeah. Then again, there's a lot of threats in the position. Rook b2 seems to win immediately, as well as rook e7.
You need to play king g1 or king g2.
Now the problem for black,
I guess,
becomes complicated.
Rook b2.
Rook b2 is possible.
And
she played rook b2 immediately.
She went rook b2 immediately, which is also a sensible and a decent move. But I think we got overexcited by all this.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with this. Yeah, nothing wrong with this.
Well, knight g4 also will be a threat at some point. I mean, bishop e1 looks very meek, and it just gives back the pawn.
No, bishop e1 is hoping black will play bishop c4 and bishop takes b5.
And that's saying something.
Knight g4, knight h2, knight f3 might be slightly stronger against this, you know. No, I think, this has gone
very
rapidly downhill for white, very, very rapidly, and he needs to be very careful. Bishop c3, I thought this was coming, but almost any move looks quite good here. Rook c2,
right?
Rook c2, keeping everything under control.
I
mean, bishop c4 check probably makes an immediate draw, but rook c2. I think. I think it has been played. Yeah. I think Nino is no longer playing this for a draw. To be honest, I think she realized just how good her position is, and she's playing it. I think maybe Magnus wanted to play f3 here with the idea bishop takes f3, g5, but now he realized bishop c4 wins a piece.
Yeah.
No, I think this is.
This is unpleasant.
Yeah, we shouldn't be leaving this game because this, we were talking about some IM making a draw against
who? No, I don't remember.
Against Nihua, and we thought that was an upset.
Yeah, well, we got the move rook c7 played.
Yeah. Knight g4.
Knight g4.
How do you save this? Bishop e1, knight h2 check.
She played knight instantly. Yeah. She's playing very quickly.
She knows what's going on here. She figured it out. No, white is in extreme trouble here.
I don't understand how you save.
White is in a great deal of trouble here. I honestly don't know what to suggest for white.
Right, and just quickly for the audience, bishop e1, knight h2 check. The king finds itself very difficult position.
Yeah.
King g1 would be forced, but after knight f3
after knight f3, king f1, I can take on c7. It's even cleaner actually.
Yeah,
take
very
on
clean.
c7,
take and bishop
and
c4, and suddenly this bishop on e1 would have no defense. This is unplayable for the world champion. He decided to play instead the move king e1, just letting go of the pawn on f2. But man, if somebody's playing for a win,
no, it's most definitely black
here. It's most
here.
definitely black.
It's most definitely black, but maybe it's not as bad as we originally thought. This is a good move, king e1. This is a move which creates problems with conversion for black.
All right, well, we got two ways of taking on f2, but we also have the option of ignoring it completely.
Yeah, you could play a waiting move. The problem for black is that after knight takes f2, if you put this on the board, bishop d2 is very strong. And this probably forces simplifications.
Because if I move the rook to b...
Well, some kind of simplifications. Even taking on f2, playing king e3, it's an improvement for white. Because suddenly you're no longer getting mated. You might still be slightly worse, but you will probably hold this position because the king is about to get very active.
Very active, yeah. Complete switch of roles.
So I think, unless I'm missing something spectacular, I would try to take with the rook on f2 here. I think it's more ambitious.
Okay.
But now you have to calculate rook d7. I think the only real active move white has here is rook d7. But I have a feeling bishop f3 wins.
Bishop f3 looks super strong. Bishop c4 also looks annoying.
Yeah, because you're not in time to play g5 because rook e2 either gives mate or picks up something with a discovered check.
Right.
If you just demonstrate bishop f3, rook d8 check, seemingly creating enough counterplay, king h7, d5, threatening mate in 1. But black is actually first after rook e2 check. If you play king e1, you will get mated. It's a very nice construction actually. And she did take with the rook.
Right.
King h2 and knight f1 mate.
Yeah.
And if you go in the other direction here after king g1,
rook e8 here,
discovered check
picks up a rook.
Picks up a whole rook. So rook takes f2 is the position. There are two moves left for
both players
to make. He goes rook c8 check. I think king h7 needs to be played.
That looks very natural.
Yeah, stepping into a discovered check makes very little sense to me. Yeah, so king h7 has been blitzed out by Nino. And Magnus needs to make one more move until the time control. Maybe bishop d2 or something, trying to bring more pieces to the defense. Or rook e8 maybe is a decent move.
Right here in this position?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like rook e8 stopping. If you still go bishop f3, now after d5 you no longer have a check to give.
Yeah. Now suddenly...
and suddenly white has a lot of play, f6, d6, and...
there's a real chances of black being just worse in this position.
Suddenly you need to pay very serious attention to this bishop on c3. You don't want for white to be able to activate it for nothing. You need to create real threats with black before white plays d4, d5.
Okay, so rook e8 is
We're waiting for Magnus to play. He goes rook d8. We actually looked at this position. If she plays bishop f3, this transposes to something we had on the screen.
Maybe rook e8.
And rook e8 here, maybe.
Maybe. Oh, I'm not so sure why you pushed the bishop, but...
Yeah, I'm not entirely convinced by this, but...
But it does seem like the most natural move. You take e3 away from the knight.
Yeah, I think it more or less needs to be played here because rook e2 check was just a winning threat.
Right.
So this is the...
So yeah, perhaps he just wants to push the bishop away so that when the bishop comes to f3, rook e8, d5 is a threat for white. Okay.
This is the position we have on the board.
Yes.
You can also play bishop c4, but after bishop c4, I have a feeling you can play d5.
g5, rook e2 check?
And rook e2 check is no longer mate. Rook e2 check, I can run in this direction. There's no mate as compared to the... And there might not even be a perpetual, which is worrying for black. You really don't want to be losing this game now.
No, not so much. But am I really that?
Well, we can play f6,
f6
but
of course.
But if you have to play f6, something has gone slightly wrong. So
yes.
And the problem is, I thought this was at least a safe perpetual, but after king b1, you run out of checks, sadly.
Yeah, I have one more, but it's useless.
It's not a good check.
It's not a good check.
It's not a good check. So, and would be useful to know just how much time she's got left, because
I have her on a little bit over 4 minutes.
So she's got 4 minutes on a huge decision, and just one move to make. This is
So they're telling us 2 minutes and 31 seconds right now.
That's less time, obviously, but still, I mean, it's a decision you should be able to make. And the issue with bishop f3, I'm pretty sure, is that after bishop f3, the plan is to play rook e8, and now d5 is a threat.
Yes.
And I was trying to find the square for this rook from which would create an actual threat white couldn't ignore, but I couldn't actually find the square like that. You can play f6, and maybe you should actually play f6 in this position, so that after d5 we can just take.
Right.
But it's a waiting move which probably gives white a perpetual, because you can play rook e7, king g8, rook e8, and if you go king f7, there's knight d6 check coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't see anything better.
It seems like Magnus defended
relatively well.
He managed to reorient himself to the changed circumstances, because he was much better for most of the game,
right.
And then suddenly he made a couple of somewhat optimistic moves and had to, under severe time pressure as well, he had to
find some resources.
And he did.
Yeah.
And as you've just seen on your screen, did play bishop f3,
rook
and now we expect rook e8 to happen more or less immediately.
Right.
And white is probably fine. Black is also fine. Black is running no risks whatsoever anymore. But
I think if she pushes too far, she could run into risk. But as long as she's safe and she doesn't over push the position, she should be okay.
I mean, what I meant is objectively. Of course,
right.
I mean, when playing Magnus, you're always one mistake away from some trouble. And
right.
Yeah, and rook e8 has been blitzed out by Magnus, and he looks unimpressed by his current position, and especially in comparison to what it was before.
Pair of bishops pushing, you expect Magnus to have achieved a lot more than this.
He looks unimpressed, but despite being obviously unhappy with the way he played this game from a certain moment on, he still made all the best moves when his position got very dangerous.
And that's an important skill. Yeah. You gotta be able to defend those difficult positions,
regardless of how upset you are with your play. Whilst there's still a game going on, you need to start making best moves now, and he did,
right,
as we expected him to, when it came to the time for crunch decisions.
All right, let's see. We expect. Well, I think Nino should take a good look at her position.
She definitely should take a breather. If there's something like water or coffee available in the hall, I would actually suggest getting up, getting yourself a cup of something.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's allowed.
It's something
you can do that.
It's something that I always see, especially weaker players, weaker than you guys. They get into time trouble, make a lot of interesting moves. Suddenly, time trouble gets there. It's still a complicated position, but they keep thinking. And I always felt like it's a good time. Get up, take a breather.
Yeah, I think
relax.
It's very, very useful in a situation like this to take a definite break, not just sort of see it still for 10 seconds and think,
Right.
okay, now I'm recharged.
Right.
But actually, I mean, if you don't leave the playing area and the arbiters can see you, you can actually get up and get yourself a drink of something, and this will allow you to refocus a little bit, and then you continue calculating.
Yep.
I would suggest it's a decent idea right now, but she has drinks at the table, so maybe she doesn't need to get up. But doing something to
clear your mind,
to
just
clear
for a
your
little
mind,
bit.
and so many bad mistakes were made on move 41 in various games,
Right.
and you need to avoid that. You need to be careful not to get too carried away by the fact that you needed to play fast.
Right.
Just now, it's important to stop and think.
Well,
Anyway, I think we should
move on to something else while Nino thinks. I wanted to perhaps take a look. F6 was played.
Nino played one of the moves which I suggested was quite possible in this position, which is
Right.
F6, and we already have a couple of repetitions.
Rook E7 check, and he avoided the repetition, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
with
he
what.
gave a couple of those checks, and then in this position he
Bishop
played
D2.
Bishop D2.
Okay, so obviously he wants to keep playing.
Yeah, Magnus is not happy with the draw here, at least not immediately, because I think also now that Rook E8, Rook E7 mechanism is established, he can return to it at any point. But if Black plays Rook G2 here, you can once again start giving those checks.
The problem will be, what else can you do? I mean,
you can play Bishop F4 because Rook G1 is mate in 1, and losing the G3 pawn is also unattractive. So you can play Bishop F4, but in this position, I mean, if Black feels pressured, she can play G5.
Yes, I was about to say G5 looks possible.
She can play G5 and trade off the entire king side, and it should be fine. And she did play Rook G2.
And
now we will see if Magnus really feels he's better here.
Well, he can also give a couple of checks. But I'm wondering, besides the idea of a perpetual on the king side, can White set up anything greater than...
He did go Bishop F4. I think it
somehow set it up.
It no longer is a... I think objectively, White should maybe take a draw because he's not better, but he feels that, considering the tournament situation, perhaps even the rating situation, he feels his position is safe enough to continue playing regardless of what the objective assessment is.
Yeah, well, you're White against somebody that's 400-ish points, 350 points lower than you.
So it's a weird spot. Yeah,
it's a weird spot.
He did go Bishop F4, and now
options.
G5 is one. Knight F2 maybe?
Knight F2 looks okay. It looks a little clumsy at some point.
It looks a bit clumsy though, yeah, and you don't really want to start misplacing your pieces here.
Especially if I play something like Rook E3, I'm wondering...
I wanted to go Rook and Bishop G4, but I feel like I'm maybe doing it wrong.
Right.
Allowing D5
Allowing
doesn't feel
D5.
like...
You could play simply Rook A2,
Rook
perhaps?
A2, but then Knight C3 I guess is the plan.
Knight
Rook C2.
Rook
Can
C2.
start chasing the pieces around, yeah. I don't know. It feels that objectively, this should not be a problem for Black. But
the game's not dead.
The game is not dead, and also Magnus has proven over the years that he has incredible staying power in positions like this. He will continue making the best move, creating issues for his opponent, and. So she doesn't play him every day.
No, not so much.
So for her, it's a lot of pressure.
And then she's doing quite well so far. She's
handled it impressively well.
Impressively well.
So not to diminish her in any way, but the longer the game goes on, the more there is a prospect of her perhaps getting somewhat tired and starting to look for forced draws where she can just continue playing normally.
Right.
There is a danger in a position like this when you're playing Magnus. And you understand that you're not actually worse and you don't need a forced draw. But you kind of want the game to stop.
Right.
Because you are playing him and you know what happens to people whose game doesn't stop against him. So you want the game to stop, and you start subconsciously looking for ways to force issues too much, where it doesn't really require.
Right. So her position is good, but it doesn't mean that she needs to force things right now.
And she needs to make precise moves, and I mean her pieces are active enough that I don't think she needs to be worried objectively. But
no, but still, good chess is required. She's had a really good year. I've been told that this is the year that she made a GM norm. She won the World Team Championship with Georgia in China, from what I remember. There was that tournament.
Yeah.
So overall, I mean, it's been a pretty good year for her.
She played a very decent game today. I mean, she was worse at some point, but
not anymore.
Saying that blaming somebody for being at some point worse with black against Magnus feels slightly unfair.
We got a tweet coming in here. Let's see what we've been tweeted. Result as Nino Batsiashvili with the black pieces was able to hold world champion and world number 1 Magus Carlsen.
And you could even argue that she is the one who is potentially has more reason to be unhappy about the result. Her position was fantastic at one point.
At one point, and actually Magnus had to hold on in severe time pressure at some point. He found some good moves to hold on to the position. We left it off around here.
Somewhere around here where Magnus went bishop f4, and Nino did go g5 as we expected, and we don't need to cover it very much, but there was a very nice touch at the end of the game where in this position, Magnus offered an exchange of rooks by playing rook e2.
Right.
And it seems the most natural thing in the world to take. But actually, if you take on e2, king e2, you cannot stop bishop d8, picking up the b6 pawn. It might still be a draw even after that.
It probably should be
Probably is, yeah. But she found a much nicer and more efficient way of making this draw. She went knight f2 here.
Elegant, yeah.
Very elegant, very nice move. I've been impressed greatly by her play in today's game.
Right.
Hitting the bishop on g5, and if white plays bishop d8, you can play knight e4 check, knight takes e4, and simply let's say bishop takes e4, bishop takes b6. I will take on e2 and go king e6, and this is very easily holdable for black. There's no issue whatsoever to hold this. Instead, Magnus went d5, and one final finesse, which you needed to see, but she had obviously seen before playing knight f2. Bishop takes d5, every single other move loses, but this one makes an immediate draw. Knight takes d5, and knight e4 check, using the fact that the rook on e2 is pinned. King e3, takes, knight g5, knight takes b6, and now bringing the knight over to control the a pawn, and Magnus offered a draw because there's absolutely no life in the position left. And as somebody correctly points out on Twitter, hi Magus Carlsen, welcome back to the frenzy that is open tournaments.
Well,
not the ideal start for Magnus, you have to say. Not only a draw, but a draw with the white pieces, which is not something he would have liked, I guess.
No, not at all.
Before the start of the tournament. But it's a long tournament, and you don't actually need to start with 6 out of 6 to do well in it. I think last year Vladimir Kramnik started by drawing his first two games,
right,
and winning about a 95 move round 3 against somebody with black.
Yes.
He played actually the Berlin for a win in that game, which we all found somewhat amusing. I remember we were watching this game live. I think we were playing some kind of a tournament, probably the super final. Yeah, it was a super final.
Right.
And the entire tournament was watching Qatar Open, because Qatar Open is it's a pleasure to watch. There's so much stuff going on. And when we saw that Vladimir, having started with 1 out of 2, he was facing some, I think, Indian Grandmaster of 25-50 or something like that. And he chose the Berlin as a weapon of choice for an absolutely must-win game. And he did win it in about 7 hours.
We got more tweets coming in.
And he went on he won 6 in a row.
That would be too many games. I think he won 5 in a row.
From round 3 to round 8, it is 6 games in a row.
So he did win 6 games in a row.
I think he won 6 in a row, and then he lost to Yuan in the last round. Yeah, and there was a tweet on the screen which we, with an opinion we subscribe to wholeheartedly. Nino is a superhero today.
Right, from actually one of the other strong female Georgian players, Nazi Paikidze, who now lives in America.
So yeah, that was a very, very impressive game from Nino, who
very well done.
Yeah, she defended very well when she needed to defend. Then when she was given a chance to turn the table on Magnus, she came very close to actually getting a serious advantage, and I'm pretty sure she played for a win until she realized the position no longer supported that assessment.
Yeah.
And then she, in an equal position which appeared on the board after that, she did not lose her head at any point and drew comfortably.
Very comfortably. We can turn our attention back to the